Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff White Fitness Solutions. Thanks for checking out this video today. And today, I want to talk about the U.S. economy. And I know there's a lot going on in the world right now. Our minds are on so many different things, but this is very important. So, I saw this meme a couple of days ago and it got my attention. Have you guys seen this? It looks pretty simple. Some people may even find it funny or amusing, but this simple meme signifies the end of the U.S. dominance on the world stage. It could very well signify the end of the dollar as the world reserve currency. I'm going to explain right now. But before I do, please like and subscribe to the channel. And please leave a comment and let me know what you guys think because this is very important. All right, so let's do it. Okay, so here's the backdrop. We saw what that meme was saying, ending fossil fuels and all of that. Now, these headlines here are some are recent and some are for a couple years ago. So basically, the U.S. and the current president have been saying that the U.S. is going to decrease the use of fossil fuels, and that some people, or many people, according to this poll, meaning Americans, support reducing the use of fossil fuels. Okay, so basically, they want to stop using oil, coal, natural gas, etc. They want to stop using fossil fuels and they want to go green. They want to start using solar power and wind energy, wind turbines, and all that good stuff. So that's where we are headed. Okay, so that's the backdrop. Okay, so what I want guys to do right now, what I want you to do is take a step back and look at this from a business perspective and from the perspective of others, in particular, Saudi Arabia. So, the U.S. has been saying for the last couple of years they're going to stop using fossil fuels. They're going to end the use of fossil fuels. One of the biggest suppliers of fossil fuels to America is OPEC and Saudi Arabia. OPEC and Saudi Arabia sell oil to the United States. This is how they make their money. So, if I'm Saudi Arabia and I see one of my biggest customers talking loudly and boasting how they are going to stop using fossil fuels, what do you think I should do as a business person? Should I sit back and watch my money just decrease, my revenues decrease because you decide you want to stop using fossil fuels? What that got to do with me and my cash flow? Why should I go broke because you want to stop using fossil fuels? Again, I know a lot of people look at the world from the American perspective because a lot of Americans think the world revolves around America. I totally get that. But not everyone feels the same way we do about our society. Let's look at things from another perspective. It's critical that we do that from time to time. So, if I'm Saudi Arabia, I'm going to look at y'all and say, well, you know what? Y'all don't want to use my oil anymore. Guess what? I'm going to work with somebody who does. Y'all talking about y'all going to stop using fossil fuels. Well, guess what? I'm going to jack up the price on y'all foods. Y'all not going to put me in the poorhouse because you decide you want to stop using fossil fuels. Again, what that got to do with me? I got a business to run. I got people to feed. Hey, I got to do what I got to do. So this is where things get really interesting. Saudi Arabia is like, okay, I got to go someplace else and increase my business because I just lost a big customer. I'm going to go over here. This is very important, people. Pay attention. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Saudi Arabia and the United States back in the 70s created what's called the PetroDollar deal. And with that deal, there was an agreement or an arrangement where all oil sold around the world must be conducted or transacted in US dollars. So no matter what country you are in, if you want to buy oil, you must buy it using US dollars. This is a huge deal. And what it did was it created an artificial demand for US dollars around the world that the US enjoyed for the last almost 50 years. So now let's look back at those previous slides I showed you. The US wants to end its use of fossil fuels. How do you think Saudi Arabia feels about that? What incentive do they have to keep the petrodollar deal going, especially if they're creating alliances with other countries such as Russia and China? Here's something else to think about also. We are seeing these conflicts between the US and with Russia and potentially soon with China. Is it a coincidence? Does it have anything to do with this petrodollar deal and the world dominance of the US dollar? I do not know, but this is something that we need to pay very close attention to, because again, what incentive does Saudi Arabia have to keep the petrodollar deal going? That's the $1 million question. Okay, so here's one more thing I want you to seriously ponder. Saudi Arabia is interested in joining BRICS. Now, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This is a new alliance where these countries are going to come together and conduct business and trade. And the key to this is these trades will be conducted outside the US dollar, and they are creating another currency that many believe will be backed by commodities such as gold. Now, if you know anything about the the US dollar is not backed by anything. It is what is considered a fiat currency. So if these nations come together and create this new currency, there's a good chance the US dollar will be left out in the cold. Now, a lot of people will say, well, the US is the center of the universe and they need the US. Well, the US has, and NATO, well, the US has what, maybe almost 300 million people. But India alone has over 1 billion people. China alone has over 1 billion people. They can conduct trade outside of the US and NATO quite easily. And if they only accept their own currency that is backed by a commodity, that will leave the dollar out in the cold. In addition, I believe, this is my own personal opinion, I believe if the US were to attack China or get involved directly with the Russian conflict, I believe Saudi Arabia will end the petrodollar deal. And if they do that, then the US dollar will automatically, dramatically lose much of its value. In addition, everything will skyrocket in price and all hell will break loose in America. So that's my own personal opinion, but I believe Saudi Arabia is the key here. If they end that petrodollar deal and if they join the BRICS, they will leave the US in the cold. Now, I also believe this is a big reason why we see these conflicts around the world that the US is involved in. So we need to pay very close attention to this situation. Okay, guys, I get it though. I mean, I really do. I know there are a lot of things going on in the world that have people's attention. I understand how important it is to find out what's going on with Kyrie Irving. I understand how important it is to know what's going on with Twitter and Elon Musk. I get it. I totally understand why people are so fascinated with Kanye West. I get it. But see, there are other things we got to be focused on too, which is the US dollar. I personally believe we are on the verge of a currency collapse, and Saudi Arabia is the key. I also believe these conflicts between the US and China and Russia are going to be huge and the ramifications will be huge for the US dollar. So, in addition to Kyrie Irving and Twitter and Kanye West and Nancy Pelosi's husband and the Powerball, let's just look at this for a minute too, all right? Let's watch Saudi Arabia too, all right? Let's watch and see what they do and if they join the BRICS nations. All right, that's number one. Next, stop buying physical gold and silver. You can use these to preserve your wealth. How many people know central banks around the world have bought more gold this year than they have in the previous 50? They've bought tons and tons of gold. Now, see, I blame the educational system because in America, they don't teach us anything about gold and silver. They want us to focus on the stock market and bonds and lately cryptocurrency. That's cool if you want to do that, but you got to learn about gold and silver too. All right? Next, we need to change our mindset about money. We need to start exchanging these dollars for assets that will become more valuable as time goes on. And these assets are food, water, security, energy sources, medication, clothing. All these things could skyrocket in price or availability and then be very hard to get. So while your dollar still has value, you want to start buying these things now. If you have little kids, why don't you pick up a couple bigger sizes of some things that they would wear? Some underwear, some shoes, some t-shirts, whatever. Stop buying the stuff now, people. This is very important. Next, plant a garden. Let those potatoes sprout and stick them in some dirt. Get you a head of lettuce. Chop off that head of lettuce, put it in water, let it shoot up and grow new lettuce. The more food you can grow, the less you have to worry about going to the store and spending your money, and you can feed your family at home. Last but certainly not least, you got to become more self sufficient. If the electric bill gets out of control, you want to have a solar generator or two so you can keep your lights on, so you can power up that rice cooker, so you can use the electric blankets, whatever. You want to become as self sufficient as possible. You do not want to rely on the powers that be to help rescue you from a situation that they created. I'm not going to repeat that because a lot of people don't believe that, but it's true. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? We need to really pay attention to what's going on around the world because things are getting out of control. And while people are focused on the wrong thing, they will miss out on what's really important and how to protect themselves. So let's talk about it, people. Time is running short.